وعليكم السلام. كيف؟ الحمد لله. يفوت الحمد لله. I'm good. That's fun. Oh. How do you feel? How is it? الحمد لله نشكر الله. نحمد الله ونشكر الله. Only complaint against yourself. Didn't give us 2 minutes because we received 12:15 ago. ما شاء الله. وعليكم السلام. سبحانك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء برحمته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we say in our du'as, Rabbana, Allahumma, specifically this Rabbana,
there is an understanding that goes along with that, the other half, and that is an abduk, that I am your slave, I am your servant. All right? Who else do you call your master except for unless you are their slave? Think about that too. Be careful with this term boss, master, owner. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and I didn't specifically mention what comes before that on purpose, because all of it is from the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does fadl mean? Fadl means it is what you don't deserve. You didn't pay for it. It's just like, imagine, mashallah, we all enjoy this. When you go to a restaurant, right? And you order your food and everything, mashallah. And if you're at a really nice place, and I don't mean like, I'm talking about like the hearts of the people there are nice, not just the decorations, no stuff on the outside. No, the stuff on the inside is nice. Yeah. So you go to those restaurants, mashallah, and the owner comes out, or they bring you like, mashallah, like we just want to give you some halwa, there's some desserts or some shy, or right? And they're not paying for it. You didn't ask for it. They're just bringing it to you, right? Out of the kindness of their heart. This is fadl. It's that extra. You didn't deserve it. You didn't pay for it. You didn't ask for it even. So the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now we have to ask ourselves, because if we want to specify and say, well, what is it we're talking about, the fadl of Allah? Let me ask you a question. Let's flip it around. What have you earned? What have you paid for with Allah? What do you deserve with Allah? Can you or I make any claim whatsoever that Allah owes us something? Oh Allah, I did this and now you must do that. What have you ever performed an amal? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا صَالِحًا. Have you ever performed any amal for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfectly for Allah? 100% pure. No thought ever crept in along the process. No before, after, during. Have you ever done it? I have not. So even what we're putting in front of our Rabb Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of our amal is tainted, corrupted by our own desires, our own expectations, our own weaknesses, the influence of shaitan, the pull of this dunya, the distractions that you and I suffer on a daily basis. Even to such an extent now, we think that the distractions are the purpose of life. Think about that. We think that now the distractions that plague us are actually our purpose. Job is a distraction. It doesn't mean you don't get a job. It means that it has to be approached with taqwa. Wife and kids are distractions. Even to the extent Allah Ta'ala says that amongst your children and your wives are your enemies. Allah Ta'ala says that they are a test, a fitna, a temptation. And we have made these distractions now, even after the warnings are there in the Quran, they're there in the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we've made these things our purpose. And here's the trick of shaitan. Shaitan will corrupt and twist the nafs so now that we will use the distraction, to justify itself. It is what we call a closed negative feedback loop. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like, it's like this, you ever see the picture of the snake eating its tail type of thing? Meaning the negativity is going to feed on itself and it's going to build and it's going to grow. It's going to metastasize. Our purpose is ibadah. When we're taking care of the family, it is supposed to be in our minds a form of ibadah. I am doing what my Allah has ordered me to do. Not because I take care of them, He takes care of them. I'm just playing my part. When I go to work, I'm going to work with taqwa, with this iman and this yaqeen that Inna Allah huwa razaqu dhul quwwatin mateen. The boss isn't doing anything. My degree isn't doing anything. That job isn't doing anything. And the fake money that they give me, and yes, it is fake. It is fiat money. It is literally just numbers that they've all told you have a value. And socially, it is accepted. That value is accepted. That's the only reason why this currency has any value. It's because it is in the minds of the people who are using it. You cannot take your dollar. It used to be. This was taken care of. We don't want to get into the politics. This was taken care of a few decades ago. At one point, they were arguing over like whether or not it should be about the gold standard or the silver standard. Men like, forget about it. We're not going to have any standard. It's not backed by anything. So now you're literally getting paid in your imagination. And people are killing, and they're stealing, and they're robbing, and they're corrupting one another, and they're lying for an imaginary currency. But then they think that that currency is going to do what? It's going to pay bills. It's going to solve problems. It's going to get me ahead. And now we want to calculate it all the time. And then, God forbid, we're looking in our bank accounts. And if we see the numbers going up, we are happy. But if we see the numbers going down, we are sad. Who raises and who lowers except Allah? So now all the way back when we're talking about the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what have you and I earned in front of Allah? Seriously. So now this fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that you and I, and this is not a bad thing, this is a beautiful thing. We're completely encompassed by it. Did you do anything for that breath of air you just took? Your eyes just blinked. What'd you do to pay for it? Your heart just beat. What did you do? Like, did you control it? Did you tell it? Did you even think about it? It is all the fadl of Allah. Yu'tihi man yasha. This heartbeat, like that's not no, it is. Because when Allah Ta'ala decides that there's no more heartbeats, who stops that? It is all the fadl of Allah. He gives it to whomever for however long He wants, for whatever reasons He wants. That's the reason why in our deen, there is no how, there is no why. These two questions are for the sufaha. They are for the foolish ones. They are for the arrogant and the ignorant. There's no how or why with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're talking about that entity, that being that now created time and space itself. Our minds, our imaginations, our intellect, our existence is confined within these boundaries of time and space that Allah Ta'ala controls. He does with it whatever He wants. You don't believe it? Look at Isra and Mi'raj. Both time and space for Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is evidence for you and I. Bayyina. Allah Ta'ala took him from one place to another place in an amount of time that for us, according to the calculations, according to the mathematics and the arithmetics and according to physics and this doesn't make any sense. And that right there is what jammed up the Quraysh, isn't it? Then now Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he says that now, forget traveling from one place in the earth to another place in the earth. I have now gone to within Qawsayn, between two bowlings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jibreel alayhi salam had to stop, and I continued on my own. Imagine this. And all this happened when? One night. Who controls time and space now? Physics? Physicists? Scientists? Mathematics? It is all the fadl of Allah. Yu'tihi man yasha. In terms of understanding. This is reality. As Ramadan is coming, we're, alhamdulillah, Nisfu Sha'aban, a huge ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hopefully we are all preparing for Ramadan at this point. Physically, mentally, spiritually, taking care of whatever we need to take care of at work. MashaAllah, brothers tell me, like I've already told my boss, right, that I'm taking off the whole month. MashaAllah, barakallahu fi. Brothers and sisters are saying that I'm using my vacation time during this Ramadan because my Ramadan is more precious than just like gallivanting and wasting money and here and there. May Allah bless them all. Allahu Akbar. You think about that. It's a miracle. And this is a tangent, but like think about that. That's a miracle. Like in this environment where everybody's so distracted and so selfish and so ignorant and everybody's at each other's throats and nobody's content, nobody's satisfied with anything. Like think about this, that in the midst of all of this kufr and shirk and nifaq, there are Muslims that are still loving Allah. They're still practicing the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're still making sacrifices in the path of Allah. Their hope in Allah is not shifted. It's not changed. Hopefully, inshallah, it is increasing. Okay. So now with Ramadan and this preparation for Ramadan, what is this about now? Because if you remember, like the previous, like, last year, I think also the year before, we talked about, like, mashallah, I think it was last year or the year before. We were talking about those individuals, right? Those individuals that they spent, this is their last month of preparation. They have been preparing for 11 months. So now they're 10.5 months in preparing for Ramadan. You know how everybody's like, Sha'aban is like, oh, we have to get ready for the 15th of Sha'aban and the 15th of Sha'aban. And there's like, yeah, that whole mindset is like, well, how many more days left? We have to be careful. We have to be ready because Nisfu Sha'aban is coming. Imagine doing that the whole year for Ramadan. What are they doing? They're preparing to receive the fadl of Allah. It's about reception. Right? Now, we already said, okay, fine. We don't own anything. We don't deserve. Well, if we talk about what we deserve, this conversation will like you all leave here depressed with anxiety and everything if we talk about what we deserve. Allah Ta'ala mentions of what we deserve in the Quran. But imagine this, that this holy month of Ramadan, and you're going to hear a number of hadith. This is a rod because I know everything that you're going to read, that's the same thing every year. I just want to give you a framework as you're hearing all the ayat and these the hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, a framework to fit it in. So now think about this. What happens to that individual that now Allah Ta'ala is giving during Ramadan from his fadl? Because he's Kareem. And he's given it even though we don't deserve it. It's the whole point of fadl. And we aren't ready to receive it. Or worse, we dismiss it. As it's like you're saying, like, it's not a big deal. This is the scary thing. You hear people talking about reducing ibadah during Ramadan and like this is only farad, then you only have to do this. These people, like, I don't even like this, like, be around or stand close to these people because that thing is scary. Because one thing is not receiving the fadl of Allah, but it's imagine somebody puts a plate of food in front of you, right? And they take a couple of bites and then they sweep their hand across the table and they throw all the food and the plates and everything onto the floor. You didn't pay for it. You didn't earn it. You didn't deserve it. This is from the rahmah of Allah, and you have no regard for it. So reception is about, Ya Allah, I recognize I don't deserve it, but I need it. You're giving it to whomever you will. And if you decide that I'm not going to get anything, there's nothing that I can do about it. Ya Allah, I am begging from your rahmah. I am begging from your rahmah. I am begging from your fadl, that you give me and you allow me to receive as much as is necessary for me. Because even that I don't know. You know what I need. I don't know. This is how we should be spending, hopefully, inshallah, this last half of Sha'ban. Preparing to receive, shutting down the distractions, minimizing like all the involvement with the dunya and so on and so forth. Subhanallah. When you think about it, ulama, shuyukh, mashayikh, there's 4 things. If you want to spiritually advance, if you want to spiritually grow, you're going to have to engage in 4 things. Without these 4 things, good luck with that. And by the way, this is not an intellectual endeavor. So people who think that they're going to get spiritual by reading books and this and that and the other, again, good luck with that. Al-ilmu, knowledge is a light. It goes from one heart to another heart. Allah puts it in that heart and Allah transfers it from that heart to another heart. So if you think that you're going to get it from books, again, good luck with that. 4 things. First one, samt, silence. Do we think about what we're talking about, like what we're saying? Do we think about the shirk and the kufr that comes up in our words, in our sentences, in our phrases, in our interactions? Do we hear the kufr and shirk and the nifaq even in the people that we're interacting with? Whether Muslim, non-Muslim, whatever they call themselves, Allah knows best. So this shutting down the mouth during Ramadan, Bab, subhanallah. Now we have to include texting in with this also. So one thing is like you got to shut down your mouth and your thumbs. You have to shut down your mouth and your thumbs. And for those of you who know somebody, or maybe, God forbid, it's you, who's addicted to this, they can't stop talking, they can't stop texting, they can't stop socializing. You're not going to be able to just shut it off on the 1st of Ramadan. You have to detox almost. Now, there are those that will try and they'll make their efforts during Ramadan. And they'll have, hopefully, inshallah, some success. But the thing about it is now you're detoxing in Ramadan. So you spent your whole Ramadan detoxing from all the stuff before Ramadan. To do what? Now Ramadan is over. Now Eid is on you. And guess what happens? During Shawwal, the gates are open back again. Now you're dealing with the same thing. And then we find ourselves reverting to the same habits. Why? Because we never even gave ourselves a real chance in front of Allah to receive from Allah. So we need to shut it down before Ramadan comes. Have that level of resolve and determination in our minds and our hearts. Encourage one another. Shut it down before Ramadan comes. Then the second, uzra. Get away from people. Get away from them. Trust me, inshallah, if Allah gives them long enough life and you and I are long enough life, they'll be there in Shawwal. You'll see them in Salat al-Tarawih, wa kada, wa kada. But get away from people. Because as long as we are focused and distracted with interacting with the creation, how are we going to be focused on and paying attention to the Creator? So now we're moving ourselves from people as much as possible. This is actually a goal in Ramadan. What was Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing? When the first ayat, Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq. What was he doing? Where was he at? What month was it? Look what the result was. We want those type of results, but we're going to keep doing what we do. It's not happening. That's the reason why we find ourselves frustrated year after year after year, and Shawwal comes and we're still dealing with the same issues, the same problems, the same challenges as we were before Ramadan. Get away from people. If they really love you, like you think they do, if they really value you, like you think they do, they'll want this for you. Because they want it for themselves. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. Now, the problem is if they don't want it for themselves, they don't want it for you either. So now they're going to complain about you, and they're going to criticize you, and they're going to tell you what a horrible Muslim you are, and this is not right, and your family's going to put pressure on you. You got to go to this dawah and that dawah, and next thing you know, like subhanallah, you spend your whole Ramadan just bouncing off from one place to another, from this place of food and indulgence and distraction and conversations that have nothing to do with the akhirah. And next thing you know, you're tired. I literally had a whole group of people. I was in a community. And I had a whole group of people. They did this so much during Ramadan. When it was time to sit down and talk about our Eid, they literally told me, we are too tired from doing that during Ramadan. I kid you not. I'm sitting on the minbar in the masjid. I'm telling you, they said this to my face. We've exhausted ourselves with all the dawats and the cooking and the this and that and the other. They were so exhausted, Allah took away from them. Took it away. The enjoyment of Eid. Third, jur. This should be an easy one, inshallah. Hunger. Hopefully, inshallah, this is not something we have to add extra, right? But now we see the value of the fasting. It's actually one of those 4 cornerstones for spiritual advancement. We need to pull back, because why? Nafs. Nafs is always wanting something. You ever thought about your nafs? You ever think about how much your nafs affects you on a day-to-day basis? I want more sleep. I don't like this, and I want that, and I like this kind of food. And I'm telling my wife, how come you didn't make this, and how come you didn't make it like that? And I would prefer this, and I would prefer that. And you go tell your friends what you prefer and what you don't like. And now people got a whole YouTube channels and everything talking about what they don't like and what they don't like. And they got all kinds of opinions, which comes into the nafs. And inna dhanna la yughni min al-haqqi shay'a. All that, starve it. This is the only thing that really, really works. Starve it, weaken it, and then go tell it to sit in a corner and be quiet. This is a ruhani thing here, this Ramadan. This is about the soul, the eternal soul during Ramadan. This is about my akhirah during Ramadan. I cannot allow myself to become distracted by you and your likes and your dislikes and your constant repetition and your complaints about Allah and about creation and this one and that one, and your opinion about this one and that one, and your emotions regarding this one and that one. All of these distractions, you must sit down in the face of hunger, if it is for Allah. And the last thing is sahar. Getting up in the night, losing sleep. Now, the thing about it is you're losing sleep. And so I'm so tired. That's the point. I'm too tired to get up for tahajjud. I have this and well, that's the point. The point is, it's hard. The point is, you want to sleep. The point is, you got things to do tomorrow. The point is increasing the yaqeen that Allah is doing everything, and that the sleep isn't, my boss isn't, the money isn't, the job isn't. And just like everybody's sleeping now, as if they're in their graves, if Allah has me up in the night, that is, again, the fadl of Allah, to be awake while everybody else is sleeping. to be alive when everybody else is dead. These four things, think about it, contemplate, make dua, beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his fadl, by his rahmah for this Ramadan. Beg Allah. Don't ask, beg. There's a difference. Those of you who are parents, we know the difference when we deal with the kids, huh? Those of you remember when you were kids, you should also know the difference. Asking is one thing, begging is another. Beg Allah. Cry to him. Open your heart to him. Realize you're not going to change. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. You're not going to change without him. You cannot do this independently. You and I are in need of the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every respect, in every aspect of our existence, from the beginning, and there is no end. Because Jannah is from the fadl of Allah. Isn't that where you and I hope to end up? Isn't this what we're begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for? And to save us from the hellfire? But we have to ask ourselves, are we doing those actions that's actually going to back up what we're saying in front of Allah? All these hollow du'as now, there's benefit to it. Subhanallah. Okay, fine. There's benefit. There's barakah in the words in and of themselves because they are from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But subhanallah, is that begging? When it's by rote and by habit, is that begging? Is it even asking really? Outside of like, well, there's a question, right? So I'm asking, I guess. It is the heart that has to be involved in the ibadah. It is the heart that has to be involved in the dua. It is the heart that has to be involved when we are interacting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then once we understand that, interaction with the rest of creation will change absolutely. Again, by the fadl of Allah. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. ونسألك من فضلك يا ذا الفضل العظيم. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother, please fill in the gaps. I request everyone to stand up. We have the brothers who are waiting at the door, so let's accommodate them. To your left, right, in the front, please. Jazakallah khair. Shaykh, Jazakallah khair for enlightening us to preparing for Ramadan. In lieu of the same thing, inshallah, today after Isha, we have a program in the masjid, Ramadan conversation. And the topic is, let's speak honestly. So how we are going to practice Ramadan, inshallah. So it will be led by Shaykh Amir Saeed. So inshallah after Isha. So please come with your family, friends, kids. It's a very good topic. And which is needed preparing for Ramadan, inshallah. There is a sisters only program tomorrow after Zuhr Salah. This is again in preparation of Ramadan, but sisters only in the masjid basement. So all the sisters are encouraged to be here. And if you're on the masjid WhatsApp group, inshallah, we have a lot of programs that's been scheduled in month of Ramadan and before Ramadan for preparing of Ramadan. So please, if you're not part of WhatsApp group, please, there is a QR code. You can join the Masjid Al-Huda WhatsApp channel. In that way, you will be updated with all the events and the programs that have been scheduled in the masjid for the youth, for the us and everyone, inshallah. Brothers, I've been requested by Isna Relief. You know the relief work, what they do. There is a fundraiser for them coming on February 22nd. That is at Shalimar Banquet Hall at 5 p.m. So please help them out. You know, they support here as well as overseas to the brothers who are in need, inshallah. And please donate generously to Masjid Allah. We have a lot of biryani left, so please take the biryani, enjoy with your family. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يديه الساعة. من يطيع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعص ما فقد غوى. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: أستغفر الله لي ولكم أجمعين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونشكره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك وحبيبك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأزواجه وذرياته وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك. اللهم إنا نسألك من فضلك يا ذا الفضل العظيم. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا. Please make sure that your rows are straight, there are no gaps in between you, and that your cell phones are turned off. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. We have the usual list. Please be patient, inshallah. We'll make dua for the Shifa of Azra Hussein Abdul Rahman Maymun Shahida Khanum, Brother Durrani Aqil Akhtar Dirshad Akhtar Faizan Akram Muhammad Muhyiddin Kamran Akram Huda Noor Sayyid Faiq Ali Sayyid Hamdan Ali Wasim Khan Nighat Ali Mateen Abbas Nahid Qadri. Please make dua for the maghfirah of all the deceased. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك حسن الخاتمة. اللهم بارك لنا في الموت وفيما بعد الموت ونسألك من فضلك يا ذا الفضل العظيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.